This is The Scoop for Wednesday.
I'm Sean Canahan with the WMNF News headlines. There will be a runoff election between Thomas Scott and Naya Young to represent Tampa City Council District 5 in East Tampa. According to unofficial results on the Hillsborough County Supervisor of Elections website, Scott received 27% of the vote and Young got 13.3%. Since no candidate received more than 50% of the vote, the race will proceed to a runoff election on October 28th. 5,400 ballots were cast. That's 12% of registered voters. Early voting for the special runoff election will be October 23rd through 26th. A Democratic former school board member who garnered attention for defeating a future co-founder of Moms for Liberty has announced she's running for the U.S. Senate in Florida. Jennifer Jenkins made headlines when she won a seat on the Brevard County School Board in 2020. It was an upset win for Jenkins in an East Coast county that President Trump had carried by nearly 20 points. Now, Jenkins is challenging Republican Senator Ashley Moody, who was appointed to the seat by Republican Governor DeSantis, to fill a vacancy left by Marco Rubio, who was tapped by Trump to become Secretary of State. In launching her Senate bid, Jenkins said she will counter what she described as MAGA extremists working to lower the cost of living, protect access to health care, and ensure every Floridian has the freedom to thrive. The European Commission president says she plans to seek sanctions and a partial trade suspension against Israel over its war in Gaza. Today's announcement marked a sharp turnaround for Ursula von der Leyen, a longtime supporter of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The 27-nation EU is deeply divided in its approach to Israel and Palestine, and it's unclear whether a majority will be found to endorse the sanctions and trade measures. The nonprofit advocacy group 1,000 Friends of Florida is urging the 2026 legislature in the state to repeal damaging provisions of the new Florida law. WMNF's Julia Ferrara reports on why that nonprofit advocacy group is concerned about the law and what it could mean for Floridians.
SB 180, or Senate Bill 180, was passed during the 2025 legislative session and went into effect on July 1st. The bill's stated intent was to address emergency management situations. Kim Dinkins, a policy and planning director with 1,000 Friends of Florida, says SB 180 includes two sections that would threaten local governments the most.
Our focus has been on sections 18 and 28 of the bill. Those are the portions that really prohibit local governments from planning and community input into the planning process for the next 3 years. And then prospectively, if another hurricane were to hit, it prohibits any meaningful community planning for a year after that.
Dinkins says sections 18 and 28 aren't the only alarming portions of the bill.
There are other portions of the bill that are pretty concerning, pieces that don't allow lookbacks for flood impacts on properties, which could impact people's insurance ratings and increase flood insurance costs for Floridians.
1,000 Friends of Florida is working with legislators on the issue. For WMNF News, I'm Julia Ferrara.
More than a year after closing to start on millions of dollars in renovations, the Florida Holocaust Museum is opening its doors again. WMNF's Chris Young takes us to the ribbon cutting in St. Petersburg yesterday.
State and local leaders joined Holocaust survivors and others to cut the ribbon outside the revamped museum's doors. Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins says the museum is one of the state's crown jewels.
The renovation and reimagining don't just serve our local community, not just St. Pete, not just the Bay Area. They serve the state. They remember people as they were, when they were, how they were.
The reimagined museum includes new exhibits, including Thor, a Danish fishing boat that served as a rescue vessel during the Holocaust. Next to Thor is an authentic Nazi-era boxcar. Tony Rindy's father was mobilized in the Polish army during World War II. As she looks at his photo at the museum, she says it's crucial to speak about the atrocities of the Holocaust.
It's not important, it's essential. Importance is not a strong enough word. If you don't teach history, it will repeat.
The museum also features enhanced security, including metal detectors and bulletproof glass. Chris Young, WMNF News, St. Petersburg.
Scattered thunderstorms will develop this afternoon with highs in the high 80s. Tonight, partly cloudy, overnight lows in the mid-70s. Tomorrow, a stray shower or thunderstorm is possible with highs in the high 80s. I'm Sean Canahan with the WMNF News headlines.
This is The Scoop. Recorded at WMNF Tampa.